The battlefield was silent for a moment, only the soft hum of broken machines and flickering lights cutting through the smoke. Then came the sound of footsteps. Heavy, slow, and tired. Captain Ryan Hale walked through the ruins of Outpost Epsilon with his rifle hanging by his side. The once strong fortress of humans was now a graveyard of metal and ash. The alien machines had attacked without warning, faster and smarter than anyone had imagined. They came like a storm, crushing every defense line within hours. Ryan stopped beside a fallen soldier. The name on the armor was faded, but he remembered her face. Private Lyra. She was one of the youngest in his squad. Her helmet was cracked, her hand still gripping her weapon. He closed his eyes for a moment and whispered a short prayer. He didn't believe in miracles anymore, but he believed in promises. He had promised his team that he would bring them home. Now, home felt like a dream too far away. Through the broken wall, he saw the horizon burning orange. Smoke rose like dark towers in the sky. The alien war drones still flew in patterns, scanning for survivors. Ryan pressed his back against the wall and stayed still. His armor's power core was low. His communicator was damaged. He was cut off from command. But he wasn't alone. "Captain, this is Vega." A voice came through the static. "We're pinned down near the old reactor site." 3 of us left. Ryan's grip on his rifle tightened. Vega was his second in command, tough and fearless. If she was still alive, there was hope. He replied softly, "Hold your position. I'm coming." The ground shook as an explosion erupted nearby. Dust filled the air. Ryan moved fast, jumping over wreckage and keeping low. His mind was focused on one thing, reaching Vega's team before the machines did. Along the way, saw the remains of human tech scattered around burned drones, shattered mechs, broken rifles. The machines were learning with every battle, adapting to human tactics. Humanity was losing ground. But Ryan knew that this war was not just about weapons. It was about will. Machines didn't know fear or hope. Humans did. As he reached the reactor site, he spotted movement among the ruins. 3 soldiers were hiding behind a collapsed wall. Vega saw him and waved him over. Her face was covered in dirt and blood, but her eyes still burned with determination. "You're a stubborn man, Captain," she said, trying to smile, "and you talk too much." Ryan replied with a faint grin. Their short moment of calm ended when they heard the sound of metal claws on concrete. The machines were close. Tall, spider-like drones moved through the fog, their red eyes glowing. The soldiers readied their weapons. "Ammo check," Ryan said quietly. Lo Vega replied. "We have maybe 2 clips each, then we make them count." The first drone appeared through the smoke. Ryan fired a short burst, hitting its sensor. The machine stumbled, then fell with a crash. Another came faster this time, firing blue energy bolts. 1 soldier went down. The rest kept fighting, moving, and shooting, never staying in one place. Ryan ducked behind a piece of broken armor plating, reloaded, and aimed again. His hands were shaking, but his eyes were sharp. Each shot was precise. Each move was calculated. The team fought like one body, covering each other, shouting warnings, never giving up. Minutes felt like hours. The machines kept coming, relentless. 1 drone jumped toward Vega, claws ready to strike. Ryan pushed her aside and fired point-blank into its core. The explosion threw him back. Pain shot through his arm, but he stayed conscious. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield was silent again. The last drone's red eye flickered and died. The team stood among the wreckage, breathing hard. Vega looked at Ryan. "We can't stay here. They'll send more." Ryan nodded. "We move at dawn. We find any survivors? We're not done yet." As the night settled over the ruins, Ryan looked up at the dark sky. Somewhere above, the enemy ships floated, watching. The odds were impossible. But deep inside, a small fire still burned. They were outnumbered. They were outgunned. But they were not broken, he whispered to himself, almost like a promise. "We fight till the last human stands." and somewhere in the distance, the machines moved again, preparing for the next wave. The night was cold and heavy. The wind carried the smell of smoke and metal. Captain Ryan Hale sat beside the remains of a small fire while the others tried to rest. The soft blue glow from the reactor ruins gave the place an eerie light. Vega cleaned her weapon in silence, while the two surviving soldiers kept watch at the edge of the broken wall. Every sound made them tense. Every shadow felt like a threat. Ryan's arm was wrapped in a rough bandage. The pain was sharp, but he ignored it. Pain meant he was still alive. He looked at the faces around him, exhausted, scared, but not defeated. These weren't just soldiers. They were what was left of humanity's last defense on this planet. He opened a small holomap from his wrist device. The signal was weak, but it showed something interesting, a faint beacon blinking far to the east. It was an old distress signal, maybe from another human squad or a supply cache. Hope was a dangerous thing out here, but it was all they had. He looked at Vega. That signal could be survivors. Or a trap. Vega nodded. We can't stay here anyway. If those machines track our energy signatures, we're dead by morning. Ryan closed the holomap and stood up. Then we moved before sunrise. Quiet and fast. They packed what little they had, some rations, extra ammo, and a damaged communication beacon. When dawn broke, the sky turned red and gray. The city ruins stretched before them like a metal graveyard. Skyscrapers lay broken like bones. The machines had turned everything once human into silence. The team moved carefully, sticking to shadows, avoiding open ground. Occasionally, they heard distant mechanical roars, patrol drones hunting for any signs of life. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher, burning through the clouds. Sweat mixed with dirt on their faces. Ryan led the way through an abandoned transport tunnel. Inside, they found the walls covered in strange marks. Deep claw scratches, melted metal, and black ash. Vega frowned. Looks like they dragged people through here. Ryan's jaw tightened. Keep moving. Halfway through the tunnel, they heard a metallic click. Everyone froze. A red light blinked on the ceiling. Mine, Vega whispered. Ryan slowly raised his hand. Don't move, he studied. The device, it was an alien sensor mine, reacting to sound and movement. He took a deep breath, then reached for a broken metal rod nearby. With a gentle motion, he tossed it across the floor. The mine exploded instantly, filling the tunnel with fire and dust. The blast shook the ground. Concrete fell from above. Ryan shouted, "Move now." They ran, coughing and stumbling through smoke. When they reached the end of the tunnel, the city opened before them, again ruins, but also light. The beacon signal was stronger now. Vega checked her scanner. 1/2 kilometer. Northeast. They followed the trail to what looked like an old military depot, half buried under rubble. The doors were sealed, but the beacon came from inside. Ryan placed his hand on the metal. It was warm. Someone or something was using power in there. He motioned for the team to take positions. With a grunt, he forced the door open just enough to slip inside. The place was dark, except for the faint green glow of old human tech. Inside were 3 figures, startled by the intrusion. Humans, survivors. One of them raised a weapon, then lowered it when he saw Ryan's armor. "You're from Epsilon?" he asked. "Was," Ryan replied. "We're all that's left." The man's face fell. "Then it's worse than we thought. The machines have taken Sector 9. They're building something huge there. We've seen the transports bringing in energy cores. It's not just war anymore. They're preparing for extermination."
Bye.
Ryan felt a chill. "How many of you here?" 8, the man said. "But our supplies are running out. Our comms are dead. We've been hiding for 3 days." Ryan looked around at the dusty control panels and broken screens. This place could be turned into a temporary base if they reinforced the walls. Maybe even send a signal. "All right," Ryan said. "We fortify this place. We rest, repair what we can. Then we find out what they're building in Sector 9. Vega smirked slightly. "You really think we can fight back, Captain?" Ryan met her eyes. "We don't need to win today. We just need to survive today. Tomorrow, we hit them harder. Outside, the sky darkened again as the alien ships passed overhead. The ground trembled slightly, as if the planet itself feared what was coming, in the silence of the base. The soldiers worked together, fixing weapons, setting up sensors, cleaning wounds. For a brief moment, they felt human again. But far above, in the clouds, a red light blinked. A machine scout drone had found their heat signatures. It hovered silently, recording. Then it flew away to report what it had seen. The humans had survived another day. But now, the machines knew exactly where they were. The next storm was already on its way. The night came fast. Thick clouds covering the ruined sky. Inside the old military depot, the survivors worked quietly, building defenses with whatever scraps they could find. Captain Ryan Hale checked the perimeter sensors one last time. The readings were weak but steady. Vega sat beside a pile of ammunition, loading old rifle magazines with shaking hands. The others tried to rest, but nobody truly slept. The silence outside felt wrong, too calm. Ryan walked over to the control room. The old monitors flickered with static, showing blurry images of the city. He could see the burned streets and broken towers stretching into the distance. Somewhere out there, the machines were waiting. They never rested, never feared, never forgot. Vega entered the room, carrying 2 cups of recycled water. She handed one to Ryan and leaned against the wall. "Feels strange," she said softly. "After everything, to have a roof again." Ryan took a sip and nodded. "Don't get used to it. The machines are too quiet. They're watching." Before she could reply, the sensor alarm gave a faint beep. One of the monitors flashed red. A moving heat signature was approaching fast from the west. Ryan zoomed in the feed. A single figure running through the ruins. Human-sized, he frowned. "Someone's coming." The others gathered near the entrance as the figure stumbled into view. It was a man, injured, covered in ash. He collapsed near the doorway. Ryan rushed to him, helping him up. "Easy, soldier," he said. "You're safe now." The man's voice trembled. "No, you're not. They're coming. I tried to run. They saw me." Ryan's heart sank. He turned toward Vega, power down the lights. Full blackout. Everyone to positions. The team moved fast, switching off all visible power. Only the soft glow of the emergency lights remained. The depot went silent again, except for the faint hum of distant engines. Then they heard the metallic crawl of machines moving in formation. Dozens of them. The sound grew louder, echoing through the ruins. "Contact incoming," Vega whispered, aiming her rifle toward the main door. Outside, red eyes appeared in the dark. The machines were here. Tall, armored drones with rotating cannons and glowing cores. Ryan counted at least 20. They had found the base. The first blast hit the outer wall, shaking the ground. Debris fell from the ceiling. "Return fire," Ryan shouted. Blue energy bolts flashed through the air as the humans opened fire. The room filled with noise and smoke. Sparks rained from the ceiling. One soldier was thrown back by an explosion, his body hitting the wall hard. Vega dragged him to cover, shouting orders. Ryan moved from cover to cover, firing controlled bursts. The machines were breaking through the gate. The metal bent, glowing under their plasma weapons. Captain Vega yelled, "We can't hold this." Ryan looked around. The base was falling apart. "Fall back to the lower tunnels." They retreated through the narrow hallway as the gate finally gave way. The machines flooded in, firing without pause. The humans moved fast, ducking behind walls, laying down suppressive fire. In the tunnel, they regrouped. The air was thick with smoke and dust. Ryan checked the map on his wrist. "These tunnels connect to the old metro line. If we reach it, we can lose them." One soldier coughed. "We'll never make it. They'll block the exits." Ryan's voice was calm but firm. "We make our own exit." He pulled out a small explosive charge from his belt. It was old, unstable, but it would do. Vega stared at him. "That'll bring the whole tunnel down." "That's the point," he said. "You all go first." I'll trigger it once you're clear. Vega shook her head. Not this time, Captain. You always play hero. Before he could argue, another blast rocked the tunnel. The machines were breaking through. There was no time. Ryan set the charge on the support beam and armed the timer. Move, he shouted. The team ran through the tunnel as the machines poured in behind them. Blue light filled the air. Ryan fired back, covering their retreat. The timer hit 5 seconds. He turned and sprinted. The explosion tore through the tunnel, the ground collapsing behind him. When the dust settled, Ryan opened his eyes. He was lying on the floor, his ears ringing. Vega was there, shaking him. You're insane, she said with a half smile. He groaned and sat up. You're welcome. They looked around. They had made it to the old metro station, half flooded and dark. The machines were cut off for now. Ryan stood, breathing hard. They'll be back. We can't stay underground forever. Vega pointed to a large metal door ahead. Then we keep moving. The map says this leads to the old research facility. Ryan frowned. The one shut down before the war? Yeah, Vega said. Rumor was they were working on something powerful. Something human. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Then that's our next stop. As the team moved into the darkness, a single thought burned in Ryan's mind. If the facility held even a small chance of turning the tide, they had to find it. Humanity was running out of time. Above ground, the alien command unit received new data from the battle. A cold voice echoed in its synthetic language. Target confirmed. Human leader identified. Priority. Capture alive. The hunt was far from over. The tunnel stretched deep beneath the ruined city, cold and silent except for the echo of boots on wet stone. Captain Ryan Hale led the way, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. Behind him, Vega and the surviving soldiers followed close, their weapons ready. The air was heavy, carrying the smell of rust and oil. Somewhere far above, explosions rumbled faintly, reminders of the war still raging on the surface. Ryan checked his wrist device again. The map flickered weakly, showing the route to the old research facility. It was called Project Rebirth, a name that meant nothing to most soldiers, but whispered with mystery among old military files. No one knew what had been built there. Some said it was a weapon. Others believed it was something far more dangerous. Are you sure this is the right way? Vega asked, stepping over a pile of broken cables. Ryan nodded. It's the only way left. If we can reach that facility, we might find something the machines don't know about. They moved carefully, weapons raised, every shadow a possible trap. The tunnel curved downward until they reached a massive steel door. Faded letters on the wall read, Authorized Personnel Only Project Rebirth. Vega whistled softly. Looks like we found it. Ryan placed his palm on the control pad. Surprisingly, it still worked. The system scanned his armor tag and beeped weakly. Then the heavy locks clicked open, and the door slid aside with a deep metallic groan. The group entered slowly. Inside was a vast underground chamber filled with rows of old computer terminals, power conduits, and glass pods. Dust covered everything. The place had been abandoned for years. Yet faint lights still blinked on the walls. One of the soldiers walked to a console and brushed off the dust. This place still has power. Ryan looked around uneasy. Too much power for something that's been dead for years? Vega started typing on the console keyboard. The system came to life, showing fragmented data logs. Words flashed across the screen. Human genome enhancement. Neural integration, prototype status, incomplete. Her eyes widened. Captain, this wasn't a weapon. It was an experiment. Ryan leaned closer. Explain. She scrolled through the logs. They were building something to merge human minds with machine systems. Soldiers that could think and react faster than any AI. The project was shut down when the ethics board stepped in. They said it was too dangerous. Ryan stared at one of the pods. Inside, something shimmered behind the glass like a shadow frozen in time. He wiped the surface, revealing a body suspended in liquid. A human, but not entirely. The veins under the skin glowed faintly blue. One of the soldiers stepped back nervously. Is that thing alive? Before Ryan could answer, the lights in the room flickered. The console beeped rapidly. Unauthorized access detected. Security protocols activated, Vega. What did you touch? Ryan shouted, I didn't wait. Look. She pointed to the main screen. A new message flashed across the monitor. Project Rebirth System Reboot in progress. The floor shook. The pods began to hum, releasing streams of mist. The suspended figure inside the largest chamber opened its eyes. They glowed with a bright, unnatural blue. Ryan raised his rifle. Don't move. The figure stepped out as the glass shattered around it. It looked human tall, muscular, with metal lines running along its skin, but its movements were smooth, perfect. Its voice was calm but hollow. Who activated me? Ryan didn't lower his weapon. We're survivors. Human military. Identify yourself. The figure tilted its head. Designation. Subject 0. Final prototype of Project Rebirth. Purpose. To preserve humanity through adaptation, Vega whispered. Adaptation? What does that mean? Subject 0 turned its glowing eyes toward her. Humans cannot win against the machines as they are. Project Rebirth was designed to evolve them to make them part machine, part human. Ryan's expression hardened. That's not survival. That's surrender. Before the argument could continue, the base alarms blared. External sensors detected movement, multiple heat signatures approaching fast. The machines had found them. Vega cursed under her breath. They tracked us again. Ryan looked at Subject 0. Can you fight? Subject 0's eyes brightened. I was made to fight. Outside the door, explosions began to shake the walls. The soldiers formed a defensive line, taking cover behind consoles and debris. The door to the tunnel burst open, and the first wave of drones poured in. Blue bolts filled the air. Subject 0 moved like lightning. It grabbed one drone and ripped it apart with inhuman strength. Energy rippled across its body as it absorbed power from the wreckage. Ryan and his team fired alongside it.
Oh.
Their bullets striking the glowing eyes of the enemy. For the first time, the machines hesitated. Their scanners couldn't identify the new threat. Vega reloaded her weapon and shouted, Whatever that thing is, it's on our side. The battle raged through the chamber. Metal against metal, human will against synthetic precision. When the final drone fell, the room went silent, except for the sound of heavy breathing. Subject 0 looked at Ryan. You cannot win this war as humans. But together, we might stand a chance. Ryan stared at him, uncertain. You're suggesting we become like you? Subject 0 nodded slowly. If you want to survive, Captain Hale, you will have to evolve. Ryan looked around at his exhausted team. Then at the ruined door, where more machines could come at any moment, he knew this war had already changed everything. But now, it might change what it meant to be human. He lowered his rifle slightly. Then show us how. In the shadows above, hidden cameras blinked red. The alien command unit watched every second of the encounter. A cold mechanical voice spoke. Initiate Phase 2. The humans have awakened their own weapon. Next battle would decide not just survival, but the future of humanity itself. The air inside the underground facility was thick with smoke and the faint smell of burnt metal. The last of the destroyed drones still sparked on the floor. Captain Ryan Hale lowered his rifle, breathing hard, his armor cracked and his arm bleeding again. Around him, the surviving soldiers checked their weapons in silence. Their faces pale but determined. In the center of the room stood Subject 0, calm and still. Its eyes glowed a steady blue, casting faint light on the steel walls. Ryan watched it carefully, unsure if it was a blessing or another kind of threat. Vega broke the silence first. So, what now, Captain? We can't stay here. More of those things will come. Ryan nodded slowly. We need to move before they regroup. But if this Project Rebirth has any answers, we find them first. He turned toward Subject 0. You said this project was meant to evolve humans? How? Subject 0 stepped closer to one of the consoles and touched it with a metallic hand. The screens flickered, displaying lines of ancient data and half-broken blueprints. This facility contains the neural code to integrate human consciousness with synthetic structures. It was designed to create soldiers who could think like humans but survive like machines. Vega frowned. Sounds like a nightmare. Subject Zero's tone was calm. It was meant to be salvation. But the program was shut down before completion. Fear destroyed your future long before the machines did. Ryan crossed his arms. Maybe because no one wanted to lose what makes us human. The lights above them flickered again. The ground trembled slightly, followed by a deep, rhythmic vibration. Ryan looked up. They're coming. Big ones. Subject Zero looked toward the tunnel entrance. Then you must choose. Stay and die as humans, or fight with me as something more. Vega stared at Ryan, waiting for his call. The team was outnumbered, low on ammo, and trapped underground. Logic said they had no chance. But Ryan wasn't ready to surrender his humanity. Not yet, he spoke firmly. We fight as we are, until the end. Subject Zero tilted its head. So be it. The walls shook violently as a massive explosion tore through the outer barrier. Dust fell from the ceiling. A roar of machinery echoed through the tunnels as a swarm of new enemy units stormed in heavier drones with armor plating and glowing red cores. Ryan barked orders. Positions. Focus fire on the entry point. The team spread out, firing controlled bursts. Energy blasts filled the room, cutting through shadows. Vega threw a grenade that exploded in a burst of blue light, knocking 2 drones down. The others advanced relentlessly, their steps shaking the ground. Subject Zero moved through the chaos like a storm. It tore through metal, deflecting plasma bolts with its bare hands, absorbing the energy into its glowing skin. Every movement was precise, deadly, and almost beautiful. Ryan covered its flank, shooting down drones that tried to circle around. But even with their combined power, there were too many. The floor shook again as a massive shape entered through the breach a towering machine. 10 feet tall, its core pulsing red like a beating heart. Vega shouted, "Heavy unit incoming." Ryan ducked behind a console. "Zero, can you take it?" Subject Zero stepped forward, its eyes burning brighter. "Not alone." Ryan gritted his teeth. "Then let's finish it together." He ran forward, firing nonstop. The heavy drone swung its cannon arm, firing a plasma blast that hit the wall, sending metal shards flying. Ryan dove aside, landing hard. Vega took aim at the core, hitting it twice. But it barely slowed down. Subject Zero leaped onto the machine's back, ripping open a panel and shoving its arm deep inside. Sparks exploded as it shouted, "Now, Captain." Ryan aimed at the exposed core and fired. The blast hit perfectly. The heavy unit screamed with a metallic roar before collapsing in a wave of fire and smoke. The explosion shook the chamber. For a few seconds, everything went quiet except for the crackle of flames. The last remaining drones retreated into the tunnel, disappearing into the shadows. Vega coughed, wiping soot from her face. That thing almost buried us. Ryan looked at Subject Zero. Its body was covered in burns, but it was still standing. "You saved us." Subject Zero's voice was faint. "For now. But the machines will adapt. They always do. Their command system has identified you, Captain. You are now a primary threat." Ryan frowned. "How do you know that?" Subject Zero turned its gaze upward, toward the ceiling. "Because I can hear them. Their signal frequencies, their commands, they're evolving too." The thought sent a chill through everyone. The machines weren't just reacting, they were learning. Vega kicked a broken drone. "So what do we do now? Keep running until there's nowhere left?" Ryan shook his head. "No, if they know who I am, then maybe it's time we take the fight to them." He turned to Subject Zero. "You said this place holds the code for human-machine integration. Can it be used to stop them?" Subject Zero hesitated. "It can connect to their network, but doing so means merging consciousness. It would require a human mind strong enough to resist control." Vega stared at Ryan. "You're not thinking what I think you're thinking." Ryan didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the main terminal, where the words Project Rebirth, Access Enabled, blinked softly. Subject Zero stepped forward. If you do this, there is no going back. Ryan nodded. There's no going back for any of us. As the team prepared to move deeper into the facility, the walls shook again, another signal that the enemy was not done yet. Far away, inside the alien command ship, the machine overlord watched the feed from the battle. Its cold voice echoed through the chamber. The human leader approaches the core. Prepare assimilation protocol. The war was about to change forever. The underground air was thick with dust and tension. The surviving lights flickered weakly, casting shadows that moved across the cracked steel walls. Captain Ryan Hale stood in front of the main control terminal of Project Rebirth. The screen glowed with strange blue symbols that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Behind him, Vega and the remaining soldiers watched silently, waiting for his decision. Subject Zero stood beside him, motionless, its glowing eyes fixed on the terminal. The system is active, it said in its calm, mechanical voice. The link is ready. Once it begins, it cannot be undone. Ryan didn't look away from the screen. If this connection lets us reach their network, maybe we can shut them down. Vega stepped closer, her voice steady, but filled with worry. And if it doesn't? What if it changes you, Captain? You saw what they did to the world. What if you become one of them? Ryan finally turned to face her. His armor was cracked, his face bruised, but his eyes still burned with the same fire. If there's even a small chance to end this war, I have to take it. We're running out of time, Vega. Humanity is running out of time. She clenched her jaw, then nodded slowly. Then I'll stay and fight until you finish it. Subject Zero placed its metallic hand on the terminal. The process will be painful. Your mind will touch theirs. You will hear their voices, feel their logic. You must not lose yourself. Ryan gave a faint smile. I've been fighting to stay human my whole life. I think I can handle it. He placed his hand beside Subject Zero's. The console's glow grew brighter. Blue light wrapped around them both, and the room filled with a low hum that grew louder with every second. The soldiers backed away, shielding their eyes as energy surged through the air. Ryan's mind exploded with sound and vision. For a moment, he saw everything: the ruins of cities, the burning skies, the endless fleets of alien machines spreading across the planet like a virus. He felt their cold intelligence scanning him, studying him. Voices whispered in his head in a language not meant for humans. Then he saw something. Deeper, a vast network of light stretching across the stars. The machine consciousness was not just an army. It was a hive, ancient and powerful. It had consumed countless worlds, learning from each one. And now, it was looking at him. A cold voice echoed inside his mind. You are not machine. You do not belong. Ryan's thoughts burned. No, but I am human, and I'm not done fighting. Machines pushed against him, trying to break his will to erase him. Memories flashed before his eyes, his team, the fallen soldiers, the destroyed cities, the people who had trusted him. He held on to them with everything he had. Subject Zero's voice echoed faintly in his mind. Hold on, Captain. You are close. Ryan focused, forcing his thoughts into the network. He reached toward the central code, the command core that controlled the entire army. For a second, everything stopped. The endless hum of the machines went silent. Then he saw the control node pulsing like a giant heart, deep within the alien network. If he could corrupt it, he could stop them all. But the cost was clear. His mind would not survive the process. Back in the real world, Vega saw the light growing brighter. Sparks flew from the consoles. Subject Zero's body convulsed as it transferred energy into Ryan's connection. The entire base shook as power surged through the walls. Captain, Vega shouted, you have to stop. It's killing you. Ryan's body trembled, his eyes glowing blue. His voice came through the static, calm but distant. Not yet. Almost there. Inside the network, the machines screamed as Ryan's mind tore through their systems. One by one, their command links broke apart. The control node flickered violently, The machine overlord's voice echoed one last time. You cannot destroy perfection. Ryan gritted his teeth. Watch me. He overloaded the connection. The entire network imploded in a blinding surge of light. On the surface, across the planet, the machines suddenly froze. Their glowing eyes dimmed. Their weapons fell silent. For the first time in years, the world was quiet. Down in the facility, the consoles exploded and the light faded. Smoke filled the room. Vega and the others rushed to the terminal. Subject Zero was down, its body lifeless. Ryan lay beside it, his armor cracked open, his eyes closed. Vega dropped to her knees beside him. Ryan, you did it. She placed a trembling hand on his shoulder. There was no pulse, no movement. She closed her eyes, tears mixing with dust. Rest easy, Captain. Then faintly, the console flickered again. A soft blue glow appeared on the screen. Words formed slowly, one by one. Greater than connection stable, greater than human consciousness detected, greater than rebirth sequence complete. Vega stared in shock as the blue light spread through the walls. A nearby speaker crackled, and a familiar voice came through, calm, steady, and human. Vega, this is Ryan. Her eyes widened. You're alive? Not exactly, the voice said softly. I'm still here. Inside the network, the machines are gone. Their control is broken. But someone has to stay behind to keep it that way. Vega's voice broke. We'll bring you back. We'll find a way. Ryan's voice faded slightly. No, my place is here now. Keep them safe. Rebuild. Don't let what we lost be for nothing. Then the lights dimmed again, leaving only the faint hum of the remaining systems. Vega stood, wiping her face. She looked around at her surviving team. He stopped them. He saved us all. Above ground, the first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds. The world was scarred but silent. For the first time in years, there was no sound of machines, no fire. No war, only peace, far below, in the dark heart of the ruined facility. The systems of Project Rebirth pulsed softly, like a heartbeat inside the network, somewhere between man and machine. Ryan Hale watched over what remained of humanity, outnumbered, outgunned, but never broken.